Hello everyone, this is Akhier, and we're back with the SCP Foundation. The, SportsCon. Nothing I'm gonna even touch, because sports are not my thing. Sports ball? Anyway, we are now on one of the old SCP entries. Old in this case just meaning Series 5 and before is what is. Please, if you want to see me read one of these, comment below. In fact, comment in general. Like the video. That would be much appreciated. Anyway, today we are doing number 2113. As per the random.org result I got, this is the haunted Liopleurodon Skull. Liopleurodon Skull. Yeah, I think I got it right the first time, actually, now. And here's the page for it, but I'm going to go one more tab over, because this is the Wikipedia entry. We're not going to read any of this. This is just that we can, see what it is. And in fact, I have two more tabs. First of all, here is the a bigger view of it. So it's this, and this is the artist render. So kind of a plesiosaurus, kind of big old boy. Actually, right here, one of the first lines. An extinct genus of carnivorous plesiosaurs. Cool. And as this noted, this will be a haunted skull of one. So, let's see what we got. Also, it's not the biggest one, and we'll see how long this takes. Item number SCP-2113. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP 2113 is stored on a raised platform in Custom Underground Containment Chamber B-08 at Biosite 66. Underground Containment Chamber B-08 is accessed through two entrances. Corridor B-08, accessed via floor B2 of Site 66 main building, or via elevator installed in Outbuilding A-11, which was constructed on the surface above the chamber. Corridor B-08 extends directly from the main building to UCC B-08 and allows for uninterrupted travel directly to the observation lab. UCC B-08 measures 10 meters to each side, is situated at a depth of 90 meters underground. The observation lab sits at 5 meters above the floor level of the chamber, with a glass wall permitting observation of the item and entity. SCP-2113-01 appears to be restricted to the immediate area around SCP 2113. It may occasionally pass through physical barriers in its containment, but a breach has been deemed highly unlikely at this time. Ooh, my mouse wheel seems to be a little out of whack. That's unfortunate. Description. SCP 2113 is the collective fragments of an incomplete fossilized skull identified as belonging to a member of the species Liopleurodon ferox, an aquatic plesiosaurid apex predator that existed during the Jurassic period. The specimen was recovered in a damaged state, with a majority of fossil fragments embedded in a stone matrix with a combined weight of 133 kilograms. The remainder of the skeleton could not be located during SCP-2113's excavation. That's the word. Despite efforts by paleontological teams scoring the area over 8 months following initial recovery. SCP 2113-1 is a large, insubstantial entity measuring 6 to 8 meters long, closely associated with SCP 2113. It is actively mobile and faintly luminescent, with an oblong shape that tapers to a blunt point near its front. Its behavior is erratic. While normally relatively docile, the entity has repeatedly displayed outbursts of violent activity, resulting in mild telekinetic activity and electromagnetic disturbances throughout Site 66. SCP 2113-1 has not yet proven capable of physically manipulating its surroundings in a direct manner. That's that's a different one. Mental effects. When in a docile state and approached by a human, SCP 2113-1 will vanish and not reappear until a period of time has passed, usually lasting between 4 and 9 hours. Mild electromagnetic activity and temperature changes will often occur in the general vicinity of SCP 2113-1's most recent location, the occurrence of which is inconsistent between events. These disappearances are not considered to be containment breaches due to the entity's predictability in remaining near SCP 2113. Sporadically, SCP 2113-1 will become aggressive towards living biological entities approaching its containment. When in an aggressive state, SCP 2113-1 will remain suspended still in the air for periods of 20 minutes to 2 hours at a time, moving rapidly to bite prey targets that it detects within 10 meters of its location. Due to its non-physical nature, SCP 2113-1 has in the past shown capable of moving through physical barriers to reach its target. It has never been seen to travel more than 100 meters from SCP 2113. Targets bitten by SCP 2113-1 report immediate visual, oral, and tactile hallucinations, which typically last for a period of 15 to 20 minutes. Additionally, they often experience severe depersonalization and dysphoria, which fade over the course of 7 to 12 days. Victims are usually rendered near catatonic for the duration of this initial effect. Water break. Stay hydrated, kids. Actually, since we are here, let's scroll down. Oh. Experiences are relatively consistent between victims, with a majority reporting that they found themselves existing as a large animal, presumably Liopleurodon ferox, within a warm aquatic environment. Various activities have been reported, including, but not restricted to, hunting, territorial disputes with other large predatory fauna, and intentionally beaching for an unknown reason. Individuals with no prior knowledge of Jurassic ecology have accurately described the appearance of various flora and fauna appearing in their particular hallucinations. Victims of this hallucinatory effect universally describe a visceral disconnect from themselves and how they feel as if they are the animal through which these hallucinations are experienced. In most cases, victims in the early stages of recovery exhibit profound confusion and lack of coordination. Rehabilitation is gradual but usually successful, with all past victims of this effect having reached a full recovery within 60 days after the encounter. Interviewees have vividly described the instinctive nature of the experience, as well as specific physical and emotional sensations consistent across events. And now we get the one that didn't happen like that. Atypical incident. Blank, blank, blank on blank, blank, blank. SCP 2113-1 passed through the bulkhead of the observation lab and attacked researcher Akhier before vanishing for 73 minutes. Mr. Akhier was rendered unconscious and could not be roused for 2 hours 60 minutes, at which point he became conscious but catatonic. He was put under secure observation for several days, during which he lapsed into brief periods of unconsciousness at irregular intervals. 11 days after the initial attack, he regained a measure of lucidity and promptly volunteered an account of his experience. A transcribed log will not be provided here due to the length and disorganized nature of his account. Researcher Akhier's experience was markedly divergent from the established pattern. While initially set underwater and through the eyes of the animal, as expected, he proceeded to describe a vague event in which the water was singing and cracking and that his bones were scraped off. He then described in detail a series of sensations throughout his body, as it was buried by sediment and remained in place for an impossible length of time, and that he was there until the desert was gone. It is believed that these sensations, described, among other things, as hardening or a hard numb, enunciate was unclear, corresponded to the fossilization process that led to the creation of SCP 2113. The nature of the other described event involving singing and breaking, cracking water is as of yet unknown, but is hypothesized to have contributed to the creation of SCP 2113-1. Approximately 40 minutes after returning to consciousness, researcher Akhier underwent cardiac arrest brought on by persistent exhaustion and psychological stress. No other victim of SCP 2113-1's effect have undergone an event like this. So, that's an interesting bit of haunted tech, or not tech, haunted, it's a haunted skull with an interesting haunt. Presumably this is not presumably, all signs point to the spirit of the Liopleurodon Skull is now haunting the skull and causing people to hallucinate experiences from its life. However, one person managed to experience the period where it was not said said being's life, as in the point where it has died and then fossilizes and comes up to present day. They put question marks on desert here, so they're not sure about the desert reference, which is interesting. Presumably they know where they dug it up and how long it's been there, so what kind of terrain it would have been. The fact that the desert is in quotation, or is a question mark, implies that there was not supposed to be a desert. Which is interesting, especially since the desert was gone. Obviously, we have no real information about where it was, but still. Let's see. Specimen recovered with majority. Yeah, no, they just say they scored the area. They do not actually describe said area. So we do not have an idea what this was meant. Now, the first thing that he describes, the water was singing and cracking, and that his bones were scraped off. That is interesting, and it brings up the question of what would have caused this? Because obviously, not every dinosaur is haunted, or else the SCP Foundation would have a bit of a problem containing that. So, something specifically with the water singing and cracking. This will likely have been a paranormal, one of these fun events that the SCP Foundation likes to crack down on. Because it wasn't just singing, which could just be like noise in the water, it was also cracking. And water, as a rule, tends not to crack. The crack would imply underwater activity. So, singing and crack, I guess it could be like a volcano. The important thing here isn't that the skull experienced singing and cracking. That is not the description given by the skull. That is the description given by researcher Akhier. He specifically calls it singing. And so, while it might not be literal singing as, la, I sing a song, it could be very well just the fact that it's a harmony in the water. and cracking. This is a researcher, so I would like to give a mediocre of respect towards said researcher and assume that he would understand what the sound of cracking earth is. This is going a little further, that reading a little more into it. So this might not be the case. The singing one I'm completely on board with. The researcher Akhier heard singing. Now, I will not go as far as saying it was vocals singing an actual song, but like the humming and whatnot. Now, the cracking, there is no extra description there. Because there's a few, like I already mentioned, cracking of dirt, stone, whatever, like, because like you're underwater, and if an earthquake or something happens, the way the plates grind against each other could result in a cracking sound, or it could be a sea cliff cracking and falling over on this skull dinosaur thing. Though that could result in bones and stuff being scraped off because the seamount collapses on it and then avalanches down, creating a scraping effect where the flesh is scraped off, and also be the reason why the skull is in fragments despite all of that, and just general whatnot. So it really comes back to the singing and cracking. And this is where I'm stumped, because I can't really go much further with this. It's just singing and cracking. That's it. Oh, right. The other kind of cracking I can think of off the top of my head is electrical. The crack of electricity. Which would be interesting since this is presumably underwater. And, I wonder if electricity cracks underwater. Because normally the crack that you hear above water is from the actual electricity going through the air in such a way that it cracks the air itself. Like, the cracking is the air being affected, not the electricity itself. Which is an interesting little thing. Anyway, the article, this SCP article, gives just enough details. Admittedly, I would have liked to have maybe even just a short, like, oh, this was found in a jungle, and thus the fact that there was a desert that was removed having more meaning. But other than that, just enough detail. I really enjoy this one. It's a little short, but hey, that happens sometimes. Anyway, please, once again, like the video. I'll be doing more of these, so subscribe if you want to see more of that. This is Akhier, and I'm signing off.